evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Professor and the Pupil. We're back, better than ever, plus one. Justin Walters joins the big show. Justin Walters, we've been making side deals before here, and I'll tell you, this guy's going to make sure he uses his combat sports to keep me out of trouble. Then again, I get in trouble anyways. Who cares? All I am is just a Miami sports writer in these parts, anyways. And those thoughts echo all the way to Raleigh, North Carolina. Mark my word. Stay tuned for more of that when the time comes. Anyway, pleased to have Justin Walters as our special guest and my partner, Stephen Reichel. Welcome back to the big show. You and I are going to have this, and we're going to have Inside the Pigskin tomorrow. So you and I have 2 busy days, right, Stephen?
True. This is the second one today. Then we got Pigskin on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's it's the fan in the end with me, Ben, and Marvin. Then if I'm not sure if we're also doing the. No, you said we're not coming back until after Thanksgiving. But then next Thursday, that's where this show is going to be. So. Always busy here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. We love having fun. We love talking to everybody, and when we get to bring fighters like Justin on, we bring them bring them into our madness, our world.
We bring them in prime time. Yeah, good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. There will be a schedule change, and I can make that a little bit more clear. What we do on Tuesdays a month, we do No Limits. Steve and I are going to do that with Will Person, as well as Jennifer Horsbull and Candy Epling, and we talk about CTE. And then, Stephen, I think what we're going to do, ultimately work the scheduling, is use the professor and the pupil and alternate Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. So that way it keeps you and I consistent every Wednesday night. And then, of course, we have the hockey show, just so that people understand which is considered sports wraps. Those are things that we're working on, but there will be no programming, obviously, on Thanksgiving Day as well for us. We're going to have that day off. And of course, we'll probably be lucky to have 1 or 2 shows next week, but we have a pretty decent lineup as well. Hello, Carissa Albano. Glad to have you on here. So with that said, without any further delay, let's get going here with the broadcast. And the title of the show was Mike Tyson the most powerful boxer in his prime? We'll have those answers and more shortly as well. Let's talk about the fact, Stephen, that Roy Jones believes that Manny Pacquiao at 46 is still a legend in the ring. It can still pick apart opponents and be a world champion again. Do you agree?
I mean, Pac's always going to be a legend. Listen, love Manny Pacquiao. Love what he's done for the growth of the sport of the boxing, both here in the United States and back in his home country as well. As far as still like picking opponents apart, as he was saying, I don't know if we're still gonna ever catch that Manny, but he still has star power. He's not one of these guys that as he getting older, like he's so far diminished, like it's like we're begging him to retire. It's not like what we did when we seen Chuck Liddell get forced out of MMA. He got knocked out almost 7-8 times in a row before he was finally talked into hanging him up. So Manny's not that far gone, but he is far from the Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao days.
Manny Pacquiao, he's done so much for his community. Like the amount of just good he brought in, like he started programs. I mean, like, he really is the definition of a world champion, like, not just in the ring, but in his behavior out of the ring, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, like, if he has the potential to get in there and to win fights again, but, like, the older you get, it's not old. Everybody talks about old man strength. It's not our strength that declines. It's our explosiveness. So in order for us to continue fighting at older ages, we have to implement systems like Russian shock method or stuff with explosive power. So like if he was doing that kind of stuff, keeping up with this explosive power, then he could probably keep on fighting for probably 5-6 more years at his age.
Yeah, there's no question he obviously represents the Philippines real well. He's a real big hero out there, and more power to him. So as we continue to move forward here, is Alexander Usyk the smartest heavyweight in history since the undisputed is a technical wizard in the ring. Steven.
Listen, he is one of, I think, the more underrated boxers of this era. But the greatest, I don't know, man. That's some pretty big shoes to fill, especially in that weight class. I mean, I think between the three of us, we can rattle off probably about 10 names apiece and probably still forget somebody.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Like, I know, like, a lot of people get wrapped up in the current state of this division, this weight class, or whatever. But I mean, a lot of us grew up with some legitimate legends, Riddick Bowe, James Lights Out Tony,
Yeah.
Vander Holyfield, Leonard,
Yes.
Mike, George Foreman. Like, we can sit there and go on and on. Like, these are legends for a reason. I don't think Usyk is not going to be not considered in those names, but he doesn't have those laundry list of guys that he's gone through like they have. So it's one of these things that I think that might be the only thing that hurts him in that sense, that he doesn't have the superstar list of guys that he stopped. He is definitely carved out a great career for himself. He has the knockouts, he has the champions, he has the signature wins, but there's not a whole lot of Hall of Fame worthy guys that he has beaten. There's a handful of them, but there's not a whole lot of them, and I think that's the only reason why I won't put him in that class. But he deserves that type of recognition. I'll say it that way.
What about you, Justin?
Well, I'm not really sure. Like, I know he's good, but I just don't see. Like, he's just ain't got the resume. It's like he's picking fights. Like, and I know it's probably smarter to pick your fights, but like the way I believe, man, like if you're pro, you should be ready to go anybody. But like, if you got his managers are probably doing that for him, so I would like to see him up against some real competition.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go back in time, because we definitely are going back in time with this next one. Rocky Marciano retired with a flawless 49-0 record. Does that make him an all-time great, or do the questions about the quality of the opposition, like fighting aging legends Joe Louis and Jersey Joe Walcott, diminish his claim to an all-time great status? Steven, start it off, please.
He's an absolute legend. It's the same thing like we talk about in like baseball and football today. Like, a lot of time we don't count some of those teams that were early on. Like, we see it in football all the time. They don't count anything before the Super Bowls. I think that's a discredit to the teams that came before that. Oh, well. Yeah. Well, what if Jim Thorpe was playing in today's world? Would he be as highly regarded? The guy played like damn near every sport you could play and was one of the best at just about every one of them. So to sit there and say that Rocky Marciano like shouldn't have that legendary status, I think that's absolute BS. I think that we talk about this all the time with all these, super fights and all this other nonsense. So it's one of these things, like, I would love to see, Rocky Marciano, go against like, a Sugar Ray Leonard or whatever his fellow guy in his weight class that would have been, 20, 30, 40 years after him. We see it all the time. So I think it's one of those things that we'll always have these type of debates, but, Rocky Marciano will always have a special place in my heart, just as I was growing up in the combat sports world, discovering boxing, all the different parts of combat sports. Rocky Marciano was definitely one of these guys that I definitely admired, because how many top level combat sports athletes retired without a loss? I think the only recent one I can even think of is Khabib, right?
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to do. But
Mayweather, he's not retired yet, but he ain't lost.
Who didn't lose yet?
Floyd Mayweather ain't lost.
Yeah.
So like there's him, but you
but
know
that
he's
goes
got
back
his
to what
own
you were just saying
promotion
too.
and
But
he's got
that
his
goes
own.
back to what you were just saying too. They're picking those opponents right.
Yes,
Smart man.
yes. You don't
Smart.
know. You don't know. You know, like he's picking them. You know, like to go to go particular up against his style. You know, but like he's also had tests too. He's took out all kinds of champions. You know, so like he's a good boxer. You know, then like you know, everybody bashes on him for hitting and running, but like, isn't that the whole science of boxing is to hit without getting hit?
Listen, he plays that Philly shell perfectly. Like he does. His thing is defense, and,
Yeah,
and, and defense is literally one of the best tools to have in boxing. Yeah, we all love the big knockouts and the
Right.
slugfest and stuff
yeah.
like that. You have to fight with your head first.
You
A
got
lot
to.
of guys fight with their heart and their emotion first, and I think that's how Floyd's able to get over on a lot of these fighters.
Yeah,
Well,
he just outsmarts them.
that's why they call it the sweet science, right?
The
Exactly.
sweet science.
Sweet science. What a beautiful thing. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now here, let's talk about our big featured topic of the night. Was a 20-year-old Mike Tyson with his raw power and speed, the most dangerous heavyweight in history? Could he have defeated any heavyweight from any era? Okay, I'm going to start off with Justin on this one, and we'll turn it over to Stephen.
When he was in his 20s and uh he was programmed by his coach because to be a killer.
Right.
So like it's not just the mindset, and plus nobody was familiar with the peekaboo style. So like you could come in if you were to bring them in with their style and they don't have no memory of like the future, like I'd say he probably whooped them, honestly.
I think he would have. I think he would have beaten a good portion of them, but I think there's some of them that were just so
Yeah,
good.
the ones that would keep him and fight him at a distance. You know what I'm saying? Like they could never keep. Once they figured out how to use that post against him, then it was over. That post going against the peekaboo. Like once they start posting on you, you got to do something different, or you're going to get knocked out. And especially when your opponent is a lot taller than you, and they're posting like that, and then all you got to do is uppercut and punch down. You got them. You're posting on them. You're like uppercut down. And you start hitting them with some nasty licks like that.
I'll say this one. He had like you're talking about his peekaboo style, but he was probably the most prolific power puncher that we've probably seen in the modern boxing age.
He really was.
All right, so let me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, one shot from him, like with that rotational power and that kinetic linking, like he'd take anybody down.
So let me go back to a couple of things. Number one, the Rocky Marciano one intrigued me a little bit. Anytime a guy could go out 49-0 the way he did is unbelievable stuff, no matter what. And the biggest thing is he went down 49-0, but you have to also remember the frequency for which guys fought instead of once every 3, 4, 5, 6 months or a year. These guys fought all the time. That's for Mike Tyson. Let me go over this one a little bit real quickly. Bottom line is he's the most feared puncher on the planet, and he was dangerous. It wasn't until he started to fight smarter fighters that knew what he had to do when he became vulnerable. See, here's the thing about, and I remember watching the Muhammad Ali George Foreman fight. I've watched it 9 million times on YouTube and whatever. When you can get a power puncher past a certain level, whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, they're vulnerable because they run out of gas.
Yes.
Why do I know that? Because of Muhammad Ali. I had the opportunity many, many years ago to interview Muhammad Ali back in the 80s. I have a picture of Muhammad and I in my book, Lessons from the Microphone, which is in there. And Candy will go over the promotional part of it later. And I'm going to tell you something. Muhammad told me all I had to do, Scott, was just go out there and outsmart the guy, George Foreman, and he did. He ran out of gas. He had the ropes. Everybody knows about that whole thing. Yeah. So when you take a power puncher past so many rounds, they're vulnerable because they're going to get tired. Okay,
that's the way I am. I'm a power puncher. But my coach, he's been been training me on being more defensive and being more counter striking, and that I've been doing that for months. But like I usually do pretty good when I'm. Usually I got to Usually I got to chase everybody down to knock them out. But that last fight, uh, Dave, Dalvin Blaine, he got me, man. He did. He KO'd me. Like he knew exactly how I was coming. You know what I'm saying? And like I let nerves get to me a little bit on that fight. Like in David Feldman's speech beforehand, he's like, "I'll give you bonuses." Like it had me so hyped up. I was just went out there and swung wild and like paid for it. And like I learned from that. Which mostly I've done MMA. I mostly have done MMA. I started out as an MMA fighter, an amateur. I went 28-1-6, and I got 19 knockouts. And then kickboxing, I'm 2-1, and then in bare knuckle, I'm 0-1.
And that's something I actually wanted to ask you about. Like, obviously, you don't ever want to be on the wrong side of fights like that. But it's something I was actually talking about with our buddy Rain. Are you worried about like those new stipulations that they're trying to put in about ages and consecutive losses and stuff like that, making you take fights outside of the promotion, or is that something that they haven't kind of pushed on you, or are you looking at to
I'm
kind
allowed
of
to
get back in there
take.
now?
I'm allowed to take fights outside the promotion. I'm just not allowed. I'm under contract. I'm not under contract. I can't do anything bare knuckle outside BKFC.
So like they like, let's just say for argument's sake, you wind up losing your next two fights. They wouldn't let you go transversely to another BKFC when you would have to do like boxing or MMA to get a couple wins back in there.
No, it'd have to be. It would. My management would have to work some kind of clause out in my contract in order for that to be, because each fight that I sign, they lock me down for another year. I can't compete. Nothing else bare knuckles.
Now that's something you just talked about, like a lot of these guys, not just just because of how much BKFC has grown. You see a lot of the you just seen Kai Stewart complaining that he wants to fight like 4 times a year. A lot of the times we see a lot of the fighters that they're all over social media saying, hey, I'll fight this, I'll go up a weight, I'll go down a weight, get me a fight. Is it hard for you guys to kind of stay as active as you would like to?
Yes. I could be taking a lot more fights. Like if I could fight more bare knuckle, then when I do, I'll have more experience going into the BKFC. That's my philosophy on it. Like I'm just grateful. You know what I'm saying? Like I am just grateful. I'm literally living in my dream. Like
I think it's a great time to be a combat sports athlete. You guys have, I think, the most visibility you probably have through. It doesn't matter if you're doing boxing, if you're doing MMA, you're doing bare knuckle. I think that between the streaming sites and how media is consumed now compared to 20 years ago, a lot of these fights, no one would have ever heard, seen, talked about anything. How much combat sports has grown.
It really has, and evolved, and the amount of knowledge that's being shared, you can tell the difference in the martial artist in the MMA. Just look back at the 90s compared to now, and you're like, oh wow, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
all right. We don't change this, Scott. I know you got a couple more topics you want to run through.
Oh, that's okay. No, I enjoyed the conversation. I guarantee one thing about this show, I won't be losing my voice because I got you picking up the slack. Okay, I enjoy listening to you guys. It's okay for me to be a sponge once in a while. This is great stuff. All right, well, we'll continue on to Deontay Wilder. Is looking for another blockbuster. This time against someone who actually might pack more punch than he ever did. One of the guys he's talking about is Francis Ngannou. Steven, all right. So any teeth to this one?
Well, I mean, I know before Jake Paul just got announced with the Anthony Joshua fight that he was trying to call out Francis, and Francis was like, basically, you don't want to do that, dude. You don't want to do that. And actually, I think that probably would have been a better matchup. We like to make fun of Jake Paul a lot, just because he doesn't fight anyone in his age gap. He doesn't fight anyone in his weight class. But now, with what just got announced, that he is fighting Anthony Joshua December 19th, I think that I'll start letting up on how much I clown him for being a great promoter, but as far as a boxer, I can't give him that respect yet. He signed the contract with Anthony Joshua, so he has my initial respect. Now show me you belong in the ring with him. But Deontay Wilder getting in there with Francis Ngannou would absolutely be a great fight, a fun fight for the fans. I know Francis, he had his one fight, and Anthony Joshua flattened him out. He's a combat sports guy. He's an MMA fighter. He's not a pure boxer. So there's a lot of nuances that and bad habits that MMA fighters have when you try to just go from MMA to boxing.
Oh, man, it really is.
And I know Justin can speak to this, and it's the same thing when these boxers trying to walk into bare knuckle thinking that they're just going to blow through guys, and they wind up getting flatlined.
It's completely different. Like, you got, okay, I've got a big pillow right here. Normally, when I block, like with boxing, I can just throw this up like here, and I know that it's going to hurt. Like, I'm gonna not take no damage, it's gonna not count as a score. But in bare knuckle, when I throw my hand up, I have to kind of meet it like this. And then when I meet it, I'm turning my arm, so it's causing them more pain. Like everything I do, I'm trying to cause them as much pain as possible. And it is very painful, bare knuckle is. Like the punches feel different. Your face looks different afterwards. I mean, but it's actually safer too, on your brain. It really, really is.
That's the biggest misconception between the both of it. Everyone talks about boxing, it's safer than bare knuckle, and it's not. The thing is the glove is meant to protect the hand.
That's exactly right, and that's more weight. That's more weight, and I can take more of that lick, and that's more percussion on my brain, which brings us up to the TBI thing that y'all were talking about.
Yeah, man. CTE, TBI. I think the only one outside of in the MMA type world that I know that has it is Gary Goodridge, and he's had it for I think almost 10 years now.
Actually, Stephen, now that we have Justin on here, I think one of the things we're going to probably do is we're going to bring him on that No Limit show.
Let's
Justin,
have to get more of these fighters on there. Kind of get. I love what they're trying to do and bring more eyeballs to, and I think Justin would definitely enjoy that topic and the group of people we got.
You know what, Justin. Once I get your number, and Steven's going to let you know what night it runs. Excuse me, on Wednesdays from 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern time. So this will be a good show that we're going to bring you in on called No Limits. One more topic I want to get to, and then Steven has some topics he wants to talk to Justin about. Mike Tyson didn't choose Ali, Foreman, or Lennox, but he picked Sonny Liston as the scariest fighter ever. Nobody liked that monster. He knocked out cops, broke their jaw, took their gun. There's nobody like that. Okay, Steven, let you start with it. What do you think?
Sonny's a legend, but Mike ain't wrong there. Not a lot of people wanted to mess with that monster, and
he punched so hard. He punched so hard. Nobody wanted to deal with that. Ow. That's all you got to say.
Nobody wants to step in front of the moving freight train, and that's exactly what he had for hand. So
he's big as wood too.
Sonny Liston wasn't a small man, that's for sure, and I think that's why a lot of people even respect Ali even more for what he did to Sonny, just because he was just this immovable object, and Muhammad did what he did. So it's why I love the boxers that we didn't really get a chance to see. I'm only 44, 45 years old, so there's only so much I could see, but that's why I love watching the older stuff, because you get to see some of these amazing athletes that didn't really get the publicity that we see in today's combat sports world. But yeah, Sonny was a
that's what you call YouTube, Steven. Okay,
exactly.
I lived that.
Exactly.
I know. Yeah, we're gonna bring Candy on in a moment for the station break, but that's what you call YouTube. I can tell you right now, I can go over that Ali Foreman fight all day long and watch it. And knowing I lived in that area, let alone I was fortunate enough to talk to the champ, Justin.
Yeah,
I really was.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You interviewed him.
Yeah, I spent about a week with him in a place called Allen Park Gym out north Miami, and the guy actually who helped me do it was former trainer Angelo Dundee, and I were really good friends. So anytime one of his big fighters in, I always got a call over in Hallandale. All right, with that said, we're going to bring Candy out for station break, and then Stephen will go talk to Justin about what he has on tap. But this is a good opportunity to break up and let her go from there. Go ahead, Candace.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by the professor here tonight, Mr. Scott Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, where he talks about old school media versus new school media. And yes, there is a picture of a young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali in this book, so go grab that book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check out that website. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or be a guest on a show or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Again, that is South Florida Tribune, SOUTHFLORIDATRIBUNE@gmail.com. Again, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. I don't know what you're waiting for, really. Just do it now. Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified anytime we go live. We have some great programming, some great content. Go check it out. Back to you, gentlemen, and this fine program.
All right, Candy, thank you very much. All right, turn over to Stephen, and I'll certainly chime in a little bit where I can. But Stephen, you have a few things you want to ask?
I definitely got a few things.
Right ahead. By the way, no, like I said, I'm looking forward to Justin being on a future edition of No Limits. He'll be a great fit there for us. And we're going to go into the more specifics, Justin, about CTE and a lot of different things as well. Okay. That's an appearance we'll be looking at about 2 or 3 weeks from now. No show, obviously, next week on Wednesday night due to Thanksgiving. But,
yeah,
in fact, what I'll probably do is, depending on how much you like coming on there, we might bring you on there periodically if you want to add insights on a different topic. And by having you on there from time to time, it puts things into perspective, not only to promote your career, but other different aspects of what this hyperbaric chamber that we have. For those of you that haven't seen the episode yet, Stephen and I spent time with Jennifer Horspool and Will Person last Wednesday night, talked about a hyperbaric chamber and a few other things. So it's a good episode to watch, and we're going to be talking more about with those individuals as well. And now Justin, we look forward to having him as a future contributor on that show, but we certainly have another half of a show to go here, Stephen. With that said, I'll turn over the reins to my teammate and colleague and partner, Stephen Reichel. Take it away, Stephen.
All right. Well, first and foremost, Justin, I want to talk about this weekend.
Okay.
Did you see what Mr. Hunt did in returning that belt around his waist? I did not see him putting Josh away that quick, that fast.
I did not get to see it. I've been busy all weekend, but I've heard about it, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I've not got to see
listen,
it
ain't
yet.
No big deal, brother. I know how it is. A lot of times we were just talking about there's so much combat sports these days. You had BKFC happen. You had a big UFC event in New York with a lot of craziness that went on with that. There's so much sports to be consumed on a weekly basis now. It's so hard to keep up with all of it.
Well, my schedule's just so tight, like where I train all the time.
mm,
Like I usually go from one crazy training activity to another, and then I go from those activities to working 12 hours a day to doing something at the church. Like I'm just grind.
ain't nothing wrong with that, brother.
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions I wanted to ask you about, right? We
Okay.
were talking about boxing, so I wanted to bring this up. I don't know if you've seen this, but USA Boxing is kind of changing some of their rulings, and what they're doing is basically any event that's not basically sponsored or sanctioned under USA Boxing, aka any type of MMA, Muay Thai, anything like that, that they're basically telling these athletes that they're not going to be able to do boxing.
They're castrating them.
Yeah.
They're straight up castrating them. Like it's not right. It's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they gonna pay all our bills?
Nope.
No. Then what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to disassociate with USA Boxing. That's the only way I say.
And I think that's a terrible thing to do, especially
Yeah.
with a lot of these athletes. Like we were just talking about Jim Thorpe. Could you imagine them like, you know what, you can't do the Olympics because you're doing pro football? What? I can't do the shot put. I can't do.
Yeah, I can't throw a javelin because I box.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Man, it's
Yeah, it's
one of these
crazy.
things that it just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense for them to do something like this. All you're doing is you're going to preventing good athletes that want to box and potentially, compete in USA Boxing, compete in the Olympics. However you want to go about it, you're taking great potential athletes and they're just being like, okay, we don't want nothing to do with you. Well, that's going to ruin what you're already trying. We've already talked about like basically the reinvention of boxing through knuckleheads like Jake Paul and stuff like that. They
Yeah.
are existing because there's stupidity stuff like this going on.
Yeah, it's and it's going to continue. I think the whole boxing scene's going to change. I mean, look at Jake Paul's promotion. Look at Mayweather's promotion. I mean, like it's going more towards that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and we're mentioning Jake, and it would I'd be remiss not to bring it up. Obviously we were just talking about Wilder potentially taking a fight with with Francis Ngannou, but they just announced it today. Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. So a lot of us, like me, are gonna have to take a step back on trolling Jake a little bit until after this fight. He's got to show us that he is that
Dude,
crazy.
if he beats him,
But here's
that'll
the
be
thing:
crazy.
Anthony Joshua's 36. We talked that we're going back to the age thing again.
And he's also an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like he's got both of those in his favor. Like with MMA, you're not used to putting your head down to the floor and rolling. You can get away with so much in boxing, like rolling your head and stuff, and the way you can move, like, and you can't do it in MMA because if you do, you're just going to get kneed in the face and like pounded on. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven, so this
it's
is all
hard
a
to break
result.
those habits.
So this is a result of the fact that the Tank Davis fight fell apart. Is that correct, Steven?
Yeah, basically, Tank got in trouble outside of the ring, and what he's being accused of is absolutely disgusting, and there should have been no reason why it went on. So it was a BS fight, anyways. Considering Tank Davis's last fight was at 135 pounds, Jake's walks around well over 200 pounds. I'm much more happy with this potential fight than I was the Tank Davis fight. And Anthony Joshua is somebody that I think that's a real name he can sink his teeth into and kind of deter the notions that he's staging fights and stuff like this. And I don't know if you noticed, we're getting some comments in the chat from our main topic here. They were talking about Mike Tyson was the most powerful boxer in his prime. No, and it's kind of what we were saying. And Mike did have the shortest prime ever. He also had litigating circumstances that shortened his prime. We all know the Mike Tyson story.
Yeah, he went to prison.
We all know
in
the
Indianapolis.
story now. Lennox, I agree with. We mentioned Lennox Lewis. He is one of the most. I don't know if I would say Lennox is the GOAT. He is. He was the lineal champion.
He's definitely the most ducked.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
And
you know what?
We were just talking about Yuski, and that's what
he's so explosive. You see, so explosive.
I actually met Lennox Lewis out in Las Vegas many years ago.
Mhm.
Well, I used to go to some fights with my brother and a few friends, and Lennox Lewis was out there handing out his cards that were signed. I don't know what I did with it, who knows? But he was a pretty good guy. But there's no question he's the most ducked.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no one wanted to fight Lennox. We would just talk about how scary Sonny Liston was, right?
Well, yeah.
And Lennox Lewis is in that ilk. He's big, he's strong, he's long, and he had power. I mean, no one wanted to go overseas and deal with that monster. And that I agree with the fact that he was ducked. I don't know about the most. I mean, we can argue and discuss this all day, all night. But it's those are definitely some special boxers. That's how I want to say it that way.
Yeah, Lennox Lewis, he actually sits on the Black Belt Hall of Fame with one of my senseis, Walter Rice, and like I've got to meet him like that several times. He's actually a real humble guy.
Yeah,
like it was easy to talk to. Like so,
Tom Aspinall needs to worry about taking care of his business in front of him instead of boxing, but we'll see what happens with the rematch between Tom and Cyril Gage. But the money's only there for the top guys. Let's be honest with that. Regardless of where we're talking about in combat sports, right? The money's only there for the top guys. I talk about it with a lot of these fighters. I talk about it, with some of the MMA fighters, unless like you've already kind of built a name for yourself. It's real hard to kind of make money. We were talking about it beforehand. Just had one of these UFC guys basically sitting there saying, I'm just here to kind of survive, and a lot of times, Justin was talking about a lot of times when these promoters sitting there saying like, hey, I'm going to give out bonuses. A lot of guys put themselves in harm's way to get that extra money because they want to do more than just borrow from Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah,
when making these fights. So it's a rough game, and that's why I any help that I can give to these athletes, Justin, yourself included, like, listen, if I can help get you in touch with one or two more extra sponsors by giving you these platforms, I've done my job. Speaking
of sponsors, can I give a couple of my sponsors thanks?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to give Rainwells with Fight Wax special call out. I'd like to give Zach Bradshaw with Empire Roofing call out, and Josh Booth with A&A Construction. I'd like to give him a call out. And then I'd like to give all my guys at LKA a big shout out. And I want to give all my people at the Mission a big shout out. I'm very proud of y'all. Love y'all. And that's all I got.
That's all right, brother. Definitely always want to give you guys that platform so you can show the people who show you love to kind of give them their moments. And
by all means, go ahead, Justin. And I'll tell you what, I might even let you go ahead and give them another shout out when we go to No Limits, because I'm the one in charge of that one too. And when I say there's no limits, I mean there are no limits.
We need to talk to Rain and see if we can get Fight Wax on as an official sponsor for us on here on the South Florida Tribune. But
you probably do it.
I know he probably would. I know he probably would. I want to see if I can get him back on here. I
got him working. We got to put him in prime time. I told you Wednesday night at 8:00. Seriously. Am I going ballistic? Yeah, of course. I have a hat called Really.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, obviously we're talking about some of the greats in the sport, and over the past year, former UFC fighter and ex opponent of Jake Paul, Mr. Ben Askren had to have a lung transplant, and this was him, I think it was within the last 6 months, going from looking like damn near deaf to getting back to that fight shape, and he's looking really good.
He's killed it, isn't he? Like that recovery, he killed that.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, he's
that
back.
how
He's
much
back
work that
wrestling.
was.
He's back wrestling, almost looking like he was when he was in his prime right there. So I mean, hats off to him, and thanks to the people who made sure that he made it through that. His family, the people that donated to make sure that he got the transplant, stuff like that.
Didn't Jake Paul donate money?
Huh?
Didn't Jake Paul donate money for that?
Paul donated money. Dana White donated money. I know a lot of people did make sure that he was taken care of, but I wanted to make sure I brought that up because we talk about it as the combat sports world is definitely not the prettiest. When you see stories like that, being a religious man, doesn't that make you smile, man?
Yeah, it makes me smile, it gives me hope, and there's a fire inside of him. You ain't gonna put it out until he's done. I believe God's got more for him.
He definitely had cancer.
Yeah.
I know he's got a few more comments up here. We'll actually get to that one in a minute because we are going to be talking about some fighting movies. He's got like 5 different comments. He's blowing it up right now. So I'm gonna get to it in a second when it's prevalent, my friend. I'm not forgetting you over there.
Oh, speaking of combat movies, Frank Dukes.
Yes,
that he was.
I know who you're talking about.
His instructor is Lawrence Day, and Lawrence Day was actually one of my instructors, and one of the only other student that Lawrence Day had that broke the middle brick the first day was me, and then Frank Dukes. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Lawrence Day's dead now. He died about 3 years back, but he run all the way up until he died. He was a wild man. Lawrence Day was. He wasn't no normal martial arts instructor. He'd walk into a bar. I was sitting in a bar one time at the Black Belt Hall of Fame and eating a hamburger, and he comes up and he just ate all my French fries and left. And I was like, okay. I mean, what do you say though?
Yes, it is blood sport, my friend. But
yeah,
we are on the movie topic. I do want to get this one in there. So obviously, as we were talking about, the way we all consume things in the world are totally different, right? This past year, we had 2 big combat sports movies come out. We had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson come out. He had a lot of people praising his portrayal of Mark Kerr in the Smashing Machine. For whatever reason, that did not do great in the theaters. But a lot of people are saying that both him and his co-star should be up for potential Emmy, Oscars, etc. Then we also just had the one, the only Sydney Sweeney just did a biopic on the coal miner's daughter, Chrissy Martin, and had a whole lot of praise for that. People were loving that, but the box office yet again it didn't perform, and a lot of people are they're tired of The Rock. No, they're not tired of The Rock. I think where we are as humans, where everything is, we're pinching pennies here. When you go to the movies, you're spending almost $100 to go to the movies anymore between food, getting the tickets. If you're taking more than 2 people with you, if it's not something you're going to do with your whole family, you're almost spending like $200 when everything's said and done. I think that's the more reason why we see a lot of the not just the combat sports movies, but movies in general. Like Justin, can you name me a time in the last 5 years that you were really excited to go see a movie that you wanted to take your wife, your girlfriend, your kids to go see a movie?
No, I can't. We just got more access to movies and stuff at the house. So, I can't really think of no movies that I've just been like, oh, I've got to see that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not there.
I think it's a major reason why we see a lot of like the same thing that goes for everyone still goes crazy over the Marvel movies, but I think they're great movies, and a lot of them that's come out over the past few years has been good movies, but no one wants to pay that money to go to the movie theater to go watch them. We'd rather wait for it to come out on whatever streaming site that we're already paying for, that we have access to, and sit there and comfort our home with our family and just catch it where we can.
It's easier, the economy's bad.
The economy's bad, and go ahead. What'd you say, Scott?
Well, let me tell you something. On 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, we were talking about the movie Hardball. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys watched it, but none of us watched it, and I kept telling the truth. I'm the last person who can sit in a movie theater because I can't keep my mouth shut. I've been kicked out of more movie theaters because I talk and think these movies too loud. I'm so hyper and energy. None of us knew Hardball. Let me tell you who I had on there. I had former Philly Warren Brewster, and Barry Foote, former Yankee, then a bunch of other guys. None of us knew what Hardball was. And I'm going in a movie theater. My poor wife, Candy, she's never even been in a movie theater with me. God only knows if she ever will because of my hyperbaric personality or hyper person, whatever the hell you call it.
She had to give you a sleep pill before you go in there.
Oh, I would take a whole lot more than a sleeping pill.
So Kojo had a question. Obviously, he wants to know what is your favorite boxing movie? He had his favorite that he put up there.
I'd have to go Rocky IV. I really would. I mean,
it's got that soundtrack gets everybody every time. I don't care what anyone says. And during that time, I think it was definitely a cool movie. I mean, obviously Apollo dies.
Right.
That training montage of him in the mountains was
exactly.
Great.
Thank you. Great minds think alike. Great stuff.
So
okay.
I think
the training montage in the mountains that that inspired me as a kid. I'm like, you know what? I could do this too.
So what's yours, brother? Are you on the same boat with Rocky? What is your favorite boxing?
It's either Rocky, the first one, just because it's a classic, or Muhammad Ali with Will Smith. Like it is pretty good. It really it moved me emotionally. So I
have a toss up between my pure boxing movie, right?
Yeah,
I love Bleed for This.
Bleed for This
with Miles Teller telling Vinny Panzianza's story, right?
Right.
But I also got love for $1 Million Baby too. What
$1 Million Baby's good.
What Clint Eastwood did with Hilary Swank and not a whole lot of people realize there was a world champion women's boxer in that movie that nobody really knows, and Lucia Riker played Billy the Blue Bear, right? So
I didn't know.
Lucia Riker's Billy the Blue Bear.
I didn't. I just now put that together. I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
So I mean, I have like I said, when we're talking about combat sports movies, we can keep going. I love the ones that came out this year. It sucks they didn't get the box office. I hope they do clean up when it comes to awards time for these movies. So yeah, it's a there's always great stuff to talk about, when it comes to that stuff. Hopefully when Dana White and Zack Snyder get together and do their MMA movie that they're working on, it should be something fun. I don't know. Did you hear about that one, Justin?
No, I did not.
I
did not. I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown right now. I'm like, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Zack Snyder, who did the Justice League movies, is working with Dana White in the UFC to put together a MMA movie. So,
it'll be good. Dana White's got the money to make it good.
Yeah.
To make the production good. So like a lot of these combat sports movies, the productions are not so great.
Warrior, the one that they did with Tom Hardy, was really good. I thought it was really good.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. Warrior was good.
Yeah, so that was cool. But switching gears again here now, I want to bring up a couple more things now. Obviously, the big event everyone's talking about in the future is the potential UFC card that's going to be at the White House, right? one of the recent UFC fighters was asked if he was excited about the potential of him fighting on the card. And his basic response was fighting in front of millionaires and politicians seems like some Hunger Games type stuff. I don't know if I would quite feel that way. I think that's a unique opportunity that you're going to have a lot of people tune into.
Yeah.
I mean, I get where he's coming from. When you look at it from the outside looking in, it does kind of remind you of Hunger Games. But I mean, in the reality, when we're talking about MMA, I mean, you signed up for cage fighting. Like,
Yeah.
you're getting upset with who's
You literally signed a death waiver before you get in there. It says
Yeah.
if I die, I can't sue nobody. My family can't sue.
And the other thing is, in Hunger Games, they were able to send you gifts into the battle arena. And ain't no one sending you gifts to help beat your opponent.
I would ask for a bow. I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna end it right now. You're a had lad.
So I mean, I
Just
don't agree with his opinion that it's Hunger Games, but I mean, I get where he's coming from. But I mean, I guess you just talked yourself out of a potential to even be on that fight card.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you, if you have the opportunity, Dana White calls you up, listen, we got a fight, we got a guy debuting. Would you come in and fight?
Yeah, I don't care if a guy weighed 300 pounds and was 8 foot tall. I'd be like, yes, sir. And I'd show up with bells and whistles on my toe, and I'd come in with a plan to win, and I would train and diet and do everything I had to do. And then I'd probably get smoked, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I would definitely take it. It'd be stupid not to.
Alone, I don't think people realize how many people are going to want to tune into that. Like,
I'll definitely watch it. I mean, that's never. Well, no, it did happen with Teddy Roosevelt. He had boxing matches at the White House.
Yeah,
really, no kidding.
Yes, so it's not happened since then, but it has happened. So he was a man's man too.
There, and of course, Dana and Big Orange over there is going to put a big event for the 250th anniversary of the United States. All I'm saying, we have to have an American versus a Brit. It has to happen.
I agree with that, or the whole card needs to be lined up like that. It'd be cool. Yeah. What happens if all the Brits win, though?
I never thought I'd see the day Theodore Roosevelt will be mentioned on this show. My God.
Yeah.
I guess in the eyes of Gomer Pyle, go away. How's that imitation of Gomer? Is that pretty good?
That was all right. It was all right. I get 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Go away, Gomer Pyle. People the
yeah,
well here on the Professor and the People.
That's 10 out of 10 now.
That title now. Gomer Pyle made it. We got Theodore Roosevelt. We got Gomer Pyle. Back to you, Steve.
All right, two more off the ball. Then one more bare knuckle before we get ready to wrap this one up. Obviously, the big news over the last few weeks, outside of the big New York card last night, was the possible fight throwing by Isaac, and having his fight purse held up. It's being investigated by the FBI. Apparently, before the fight happened, that the FBI did contact the UFC that there was a strange amount of money coming in. They could have pulled the fight. They didn't. They let it happen. Listen, I'm not one that's I'm not running the UFC. I'm not telling them how to run their business. But if I'm having the FBI call me, tell me there's a potential fight fixing, that fight ain't gonna happen. That's just me personally. Outside,
you know how the promoters get to scrambling right before a match too, though.
I think the hardest thing
they were probably like, you know what? We'll just pretend like we didn't hear that, and then if it comes out to be true, then oh well. I'm sure.
Here's the thing: me and you both know this. It's not just the promoter. The people that have to stop the fight is the athletic commission, not the promoter.
That's exactly right.
So I think, in my opinion, that's probably more than likely the reason why it didn't get stopped, outside of Dana or the UFC not having a willingness to do so. just to clear the air, because the athletic commission is the end all be all when it comes to the match.
Yeah, Dana would just bounce it in their court and be like, "What do y'all think?" And if they're cool with it, they'd be cool with it. So that's less work for him to make another matchup.
But after that, more than a handful of fighters came up that said that they had people reach out to them to throw fights. So we've talked about this before, just in the combat sports, MMA side of things, because the UFC's done everything they can to kind of separate themselves what WWE is, where when you have stuff like that. And I think this is probably the worst thing that could probably have happened to Dana White this year, is just having a situation like this fall in his lap.
It's a shame that a fighter would even do that. It's extreme dishonor, and it comes from where they're not paying their fighters correctly. If they pay their fighters correctly, then they wouldn't be shaken by offers of money or tempted by stuff like that.
I agree,
but they should have more character as a human being and as a fighter with warrior ethos, to ever do something like that. If somebody did something like that to me, I'd probably be like, "Yeah, I'll take your money," and then I'd rob them. Yeah, I swear I would. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rob them. Like
I don't blame you there.
Yeah,
I think the people that sat there and said they were made offers, you should, if you're going public, sitting there saying, you should out the people who've reached out to you too. So that if it's really something you did turn down, then you have nothing to hide from. But it's one of these things. But I also think you're right on part of that a lot of these fighters would probably entertain that just because they don't get taken care of properly. It doesn't matter. We talk about it all the time. It's only the top 5% of the athletes, regardless if we're talking boxing, MMA, bare knuckle, that get paid what they probably are worth. I think a lot of the guys or girls that are potential, title contenders, etc., that they get kind of taken advantage of. We see it all the time when regional promotions try to lock up these fighters for 3-4 fights, and then they get better money, better opponents, and you're under contract with me, you can't take this fight,
and they won't give you another fight unless you lock up.
Yeah, man, like I've seen
it's
some
blackballing you.
I've heard some horror stories, man.
I've got a really good management agency, CNC Management. They're real good. They're plugged in, and they do me real good.
I seen what happened to Sean Santella about this time last year. He was locked into a local promotion. Feldman them called them in for a potential fight, and they were like, "Oh, well, we have you under contract for another 3 fights. Yeah, we're going to block that. You're going to fight for us first." It's a sad thing, like when it's like, all right, you're a local regional promotion, like we're talking about a big national brand like bare knuckle, UFC, whatever. Why would you take that opportunity away from him when all right, for argument's sake, that he takes his fight, it didn't work out well, he comes back, he's bigger.
He brings a bigger crowd.
Tickets for you. They're going to sell more tickets.
Yes, because he brings a bigger crowd. Like if that happened to me, I'd be like, "Look, I'll take this spot, but if the BKFC calls me, because they're random, they'll hit you up. They're just random. They'll be like, "Oh, you need this spot, blah blah blah," and like if I would tell the promoter, I'd be like, "Look, I've got this BKFC fight. It's priority. You don't know." And I'd make sure they knew that beforehand. And most of them will work with you, but like, I'm not sure. It's just, you got to open your mouth and communicate. Like they'll get over on you, whatever you let them,
Mm-hmm. You ain't lying there, brother. You ain't lying there. And you were sitting there talking about their random. Now, obviously, I had the your last fight didn't go the way you wanted to. You got anything in the works? Any possible BKFC fights coming before
Yep, we got some. My management agency's working on the next BKFC fight. I should have about 3 more BKFC fights next year, and then I know I'll have a Muay Thai match coming up with Joe Baker, and that'll be in Indiana. And then I want to do some pro boxing this year too. But I'm so addicted to the bare knuckle. That's all I want to do now. Like, it's so much different. It's harder, but like I finally got it figured out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've hit a stride at it. I've been training nothing but bare knuckle. Like, even my Muay Thai, I've been doing it bare knuckle too. You know, like we've been just letting each other have it. But like, it's different. You know, like, it's just. You ain't gonna do good if you come from. You do good, but if you learn the skills to adapt to the bare knuckle, because it is different.
Yeah,
you know, than boxing. You know.
All right, last one before we get ready to wrap this one up. It's one I like to ask a lot of the fighters. We talk about the OGs, the greats, the stuff like that. And it's so hard in the combat sports world to kind of break this thing down because everyone likes to throw around that word, the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Is John Jones the GOAT? Is this person the GOAT? Obviously, our Kojo in the chat had brought up, do we feel like John Jones is the GOAT in MMA? So I'm gonna double off that one. Who is your Mount Rushmore of combat sports athletes? You can do MMA, you can do boxing, you can do bare knuckle, you can do a mixture of all of them. You know, who's the the 4 or 5 people you would put on your Mount Rushmore of combat sports athletes?
I would definitely put Mike Tyson as one. I would put Floyd Mayweather because of how defensive he is, and I would put Boss Rutan because I'm biased towards him because he's one of my old coaches.
That's funny. I got a Boss poster signed on my wall.
Yeah, like he's one of my old instructors with the styles and pancration. You know that, and then I would have to choose. I would have to choose myself. You know, of course, like I'm going to be one of the greats. I'm just waiting. I'm training like one. I'm manifesting, and I'm doing it every day. You know,
manifesting is half the battle, my friend. Especially when we're talking.
Yeah,
about,
you know, I'm becoming that world champion right now. Like I'm in that fire, and I've been putting myself in it every day for years. You know, and I'm becoming that person.
But
well, Justin, all I can tell you right now is it's been fun having you on the show, and I hope you get everything you go after. If you can become a world champion, then I can just add you to the latest list of world champions that I've had an opportunity to be on. I look forward to the day that you and I can get in front of with each other so you can join Sugar Ray Leonard, James Toney, Muhammad Ali, Chuck Wepner as people that took their fist right by my jaw, and I took a picture with it, and I expect you to be on that list at some point or another. Let me tell you something, and I'm very serious that time. I can joke around a lot, but now I'm not joking. I'm talking serious from my heart here, okay?
Yes, sir.
When you have an opportunity to interview great fighters, and I've been blessed and thankful I've been able to do it, and I see somebody with your charisma on there, and the fact that you're willing to fight day in and day out, where nowadays boxing and sports has become stale, where it takes 9 million days to fight. That's refreshing in this day and age. It really is. Keep that hunger and keep that spirit alive. You have to do it. I expect you to do it because I expect you and I, we can joke around about things, projects we want to do, and I'm sure we will, as I feel like I've developed a friendship with you, Justin, through Steven. But I'm going to tell you, I'll be pulling for you. But I expect to put my fist right by your jaw, and you can put one next to mine. Because I tell you one thing, if I can go out there, I'm learning this thing because I'm brand new to this technology stuff, which I truly despise and I hate real much. But I wouldn't mind making that viral because it should be viral. Not some goofball coach is worried about having the same damn birthday as my niece and my wife. I won't mention the name, but that'll be a teaser for tomorrow night on Inside the Pigskin. They have to have teasers, people. Why am I talking about it? Because anything that ends up in my book is always worth talking about. Because truth of the matter is, one of the topics we're going to have will be called the Unemployment Bowl, and that'll be taking place this weekend. And we'll tease you in on Inside the Pigskin. But beautiful thing. But really, Justin, it's so great to have you on. There aren't many people I would do a show this late to be on, but I am making that exception to you thanks to Stephen Reichel. I'm telling you. But it's great to have you on. I tell you one thing, boxing is something I grew up as a kid. Being from Metro Detroit, obviously I grew up. I wasn't around when Joe Louis was doing his thing, but Thomas Hearns did all right. But then living in South Florida, which is another hotbed, where you have the Angelo Dundee, Muhammad Ali's, and meeting Sugar Ray Leonard, and then all the different people I've met, is just truly remarkable. And to see somebody like you who's aspiring, who's young, who's hungry, that's what we need in this day and age. I don't know much about combat sports, but with Steven's presence on the network, I'm learning a lot about it. I'm always intrigued about learning something. That's why we devote programming to this. We do. We're devoting the professor and people, whatever Steven has. The real and the rare, I think, is your other combat sports show. Is that correct, Steven?
Yeah, real and the rare is what we do on Sunday nights, and anytime I can find some time to get one of our combat sports athletes, whether it be MMA fighter, boxer, bare knuckle, whoever, always open to the discussions. Sunday afternoon, Sunday nights to bring some more eyes, ears, etc. to the combat sports world.
Well, let me point out when I first started the network, Justin, the Real and the Rare was a show that started with myself and a young broadcaster out in the Bradenton area. Well, he's gone on and done some good things, but I kept it in my closet here, so to speak. And once Steven came on and I thought he was doing, I gave him the show and he's done wonderful things with it. And the fact that, and I know he continues to do things with it. And the No Limits Challenge I'm taking on is a result of the fact that CT is important. But let me mention something too, since we're talking about combat sports. And this is something that I don't mind talking to from time to time, is I have the onset of Alzheimer's disease. And what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to stay very active and in order to stall this problem from happening. What I decided to do during college football season was something a little bit uncharacteristic for most of the people that work with me with the Miami Hurricanes, but I didn't mind doing it. And I want to thank their sports information director, communications guy, for going along with what I was doing, because this guy has a certain amount of people he has to go ahead and talk to Coach Cristobal, who's one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. So I decided to take it upon myself for two reasons. I decided to go in the press conference with the opposing coach, and when you're getting beat every time by the Miami Hurricanes, I think that's a tough challenge to do, but I don't mind doing it. And I would say 5 of the 6 people have been really great because they understand if you ask a question a certain way, you do it. But every so often you run into a bad egg like I did on Saturday night, and it takes a lot out of nothing, but and again, I'm not trying to put that light of the whole thing. It is what it is. But the whole idea is when you have Alzheimer's disease, I was telling one of my colleagues, the biggest thing you have to do, and that's why I went to the other side, was to be able to stay active on the other side so that I kept lively in it. And it's all about being an active mind, even though we could joke around about the bonehead. I'm going to don't get, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it's so fun watching a guy lose his job beneath his eyes because everybody's sick and tired of him anyway, that at some point he'll hang himself, and I know he will. But the fact of the matter is, if this idiot and I ever talk again, if he think he got his butt kicked before, wait till he gets it when I get in front of him, knowing what I have in my pocket now.
So,
but with all due respect, not trying to deflect anything from you, it's all about competitive and being active and doing what you have to do. Most of the people in life don't get it. The people that know who you are will never judge you badly. And I tell you what, I don't have to defend my reputation being in this business 47 years. I never will. And I'm not using this show as a platform to do it because it is what it is. But what you do in terms of combat sports, where you go out there and you get hit hard, and you have to deal with the Parkinson's, dementias, and all that. Whether you get hit in the head or not, those hurt. They do. Not that I would know. I like to people joke around with me. What am I doing in the press box? I said I call it mental labor, baby. I'm out there making these things happen so we can do
Yeah.
these things. Mental labor, people.
Mental labor.
There you go. And that's what you're doing. You're mental labor outsmarting people so you can beat them. So again, am I going a little too far with this? Maybe a little bit. Then again, anybody that's watched me enough knows I do it anyway.
Well, I'm all done with my question, so I'm gonna just leave it at this. Justin, what I typically do when we end.
Well, rule number one is let thou host finish speaking, and then I will let thou co-host, aka the pupil, wrap it up. And I know Steven's my brother from another mother. Great stuff. But all I can tell you is, Justin, keep it up. And I look forward to having you on No Limits and bringing you back here in prime time. All right, Steven, take over, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
What I typically do is throw the floor over to you, my friend. Anyone you would like to thank. I know you'd already touched your sponsors and stuff like that. Let people know where to follow you on social media, and any parting words, any parting shots. The floor is yours, Justin.
Yeah, I just want to say, tune in, man. You'll watch my videos. I'm a born again believer. I serve Jesus Christ. Like all I do is train and work, and I'm a married man. I've got a little dog. Her name's Honey. She thinks she's a little person. I treat her just like a little person. She eats like steak and like everything that I eat. Like, but yeah, like I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to be back on your show.
Well, as Scott says, we're definitely going to look into having you back on, especially when we do our Wednesday show and we're talking CTE again after the holiday. So we'll definitely be in touch, brother.
Yeah,
yes,
Justin, like I said, it's been a privilege and pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing him here in prime time on Professor and the Pupil.
Yes,
glad to have you on. It's been a real pleasure. And like I said, these are the kinds of things I have when I write my next book, that I just sit here and take my cheat sheet that Stephen can't read anyways, and be able to use this thing and be able to jot it in another chapter, TBD. I like it when this guy criticizes my penmanship. I don't care. They all do.
Mine's worse, I promise you.
Yeah, I know. He's going to get me to talk into this thing, and I'm just so used to writing, man. When you're meant to use a utensil, you are. I'm just a little bit too old to do anything other way.
I got you.
But meanwhile, hey, listen. Pleasure to have Justin Walters on the program tonight, Professor and the People. He will be on No Limits at a future date, TBD. We'll keep you posted. But Stephen, wonderful job planning. Justin, I look forward to collaborating with Justin and Stephen, as obviously is I will say this before we close. Stephen is my heir apparent. Okay. When I'm not able to do this anymore, I'm training Stephen to do what I do. So right now, the poor guy has a headset and he'll have cauliflower ears when I get finished with him. But hopefully I have a lot of knowledge before it's over with.
That's your pupil. You passing the torch.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's exactly right.
I am. But bottom line is I'm
all I'm going to say is I don't want the cauliflower ear because I have a hard enough time hearing as it is.
It won't hurt your hearing at all, I promise.
Yeah,
it just make people look at you weird. The grocery store, old ladies and stuff, they're just like, "What's wrong with his ear? He must fight." And they just look at you real weird.
Well, great stuff from London, England. Because of him, I was able to go, so it doesn't make any difference. Because they had to walk in here and impromptu to keep the broadcast going. But I guarantee when I hit the road soon enough, he'll be way ready for the next round. But all right, so meanwhile, that does it for this edition of Professor and the Pupil. On behalf of our producer, Candy Ebling, Steve Reichel, our special guest, Justin Walters, my name is Scott Morgan, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. So if you have a chance to see this show again, please do so. Also, prior to this show, we had 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, a great show there. Tomorrow night, Inside the Pigskin. Steve, anything you want to let everybody know? What's on your agenda for the duration of the week before we call it a night?
No, I have a guest book for Wednesday morning, but you're gonna have to tune in tomorrow night to find out who it is.
I also want to mention Steve did an exceptional job with former Philadelphia, I think Ricky Waters. So I encourage everybody to go out there and watch Steven's great work with Ricky Waters. Maybe one of these days they'll be able to get a live, but great work on that project, Steven. And so go out there and check that out as well. So once again, on behalf of Steven, Reichel, Candy Eveling, Justin Walters, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode on The Professor and the Pupil. See you on Inside the Pits again tomorrow night, and the Sports Exchange on Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.